The main problem that I have with ignorance is that people claim it to be intelligence. People want to be smart, and they grow up being told that they're smart, and they grow up going to school and passing and just getting by, and they take it as a compliment when they accomplish something. It's not about the level of accomplishment, it's just that they accomplish something. So they can do a terrible job at something. They can just barely ace a test, not ace, but I mean pass. They can pass with a D- for crying out loud. They can go through life being told that they're a good person and they have a good heart, just because adults think that that's the right kind of thing to tell a kid.
Right.
But the thing is, if the kid is really ignorant, or if he really does not know how to act or how to treat people, and all he knows is what his friends tell him and what his peers are doing and acting like, then he's going to grow up with this false sense of self-reliance. He's going to grow up thinking that he's right, and anything that he thinks is going to be wise and the way to go, because everybody else already told him that he's right, and he knows he's right in his heart, when in reality he only knows he's right because, and he doesn't know he's right because he's not right. I'm just saying he only thinks he knows he's right because everybody told him that, and he grew up hearing that. So it's more of a subconscious feeling than it is a conscious thing. And people like this are very stubborn. They have this mentality that they're right no matter what, and anybody that tries to tell them they're wrong is just a dick, and they deserve to be yelled at, or something like that.
Well, like for me, because I kind of understand what you're trying to get at. It's basically like you have parenting, like that's a lot of issues, like in like schools and stuff. When you have parenting issues, like people are getting like they're bullying on people.
Right.
It's because like the parents are like, oh, you're a good kid. Yeah, you do nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Like kids, like they like baby their kids. And, like, I'm not going to go up here and say I'm, like, the fucking roughest nigga you know. Like, I was, like, at 5 years old, like, on the streets fucking fucking beating up people. But, like, and I'm not going to say, oh, I was, like, this angel when I was a kid. I just wasn't. Like, my parents would correct me when I was right. And, I don't know, like, they wouldn't, like, suck me off, basically, if I, like, suck me off if I was right, and then, like, beat me to death if I was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think a lot of bullies in general, they just have like a self-conscious issue. Like I think they know they either have like a small penis or they're just unintelligent, so they try to take their anger out on other people. I'm just like, I know small penis had nothing to do with that, but that's just what I'm just saying.
I see what you mean, though. I see what you mean, and it's like bullies don't really know they're bullying sometimes. I was watching some videos the other day. Now bear with me, viewers, listeners, bear with me on this one. I was watching some videos of what I consider to be fake ass people. They're popular. I won't name some names, but they're popular YouTube personalities, and they have 50,000 plus subscribers. And they make video responses to these videos about bullying or about sad things, and they're women, of course, and they start crying, and I mean of course, because they're crying. I should have said that second. But yeah, they start crying and everything, and they're like, you know what? I put on this facade and I hide myself behind editing, but in reality I'm really hurt and I'm really depressed and I'm just not feeling really good, and they're attention whores. They're nothing more than attention whores. And I say that not because they're women crying, but just because they're fakes. If you watch their videos, and I have watched all of their videos, you know that they're not truly hurting like they say they are. And when somebody, especially women, I'm just going to say that now, when somebody is around emotion, they get emotional. Guys are not, that emotional, so it's not really that intense. But when they do, when somebody is around emotion, they do get pretty emotional in response to that. But the thing with these YouTube personalities is that they take it way too far, and they say, you know what, this person's being bullied, and he's really touching my heart with his story. I'm gonna go ahead and explain my story, and their subconscious comes up with these ideas that are not really true. And their subconscious tells them, you know what, you're hurting too, you deserve to tell your story, and I'm going to give you some embellished facts about how hurting you are. And I mean, not getting to go to Disney World is not depressing. You know, that's not something that's gonna.
For some people, so for some rich kids that trust me, like, man, I know, like, I went to a prep school junior and senior year. Not a prep school, but it's just like a little rich white kid fucking high school and shit. That, like, if they didn't, like, if, like, God forbid, I couldn't go to France this year. It's like they're crying and shit. Like, they want me to feel sorry for you. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? No,
Right.
I'm not gonna feel sorry for you because something that unimportant happened. Like, okay, frankly for me, all right, when, like, because I've mentioned this to you in the past, but, like, I don't go, like, actually, not a lot of people know this about me, but I've been stabbed. I don't go around to everybody and like, oh my God, I got jumped and stabbed. Don't you feel sorry for me? Like, no, I'm not out there trying to seek for attention.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's like, probably people listening to this has never even heard that from me. If you're on my PSN list or if I know you in real life, they probably never even heard that story. I've only really told you that, Dylan, and like one other select friend, Gio. But it's like, I just really, I don't get. It's, to me these days, like, when people are the victims, like, they have like this victim personality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if anything happens to them, it's this huge fucking issue. And like, I know we're trying to talk about bullying, and I know this might kind of sound fucked up, but like, think about the TV shows. I think our society is too soft. Like, I'm not promoting bullying. Like, oh my God, you should go and like fucking like just beat up anybody for lunch money and stuff. I'm not saying that. But I think we cater too much to the victims, and they're like, oh, tell like an adult, or like, oh, we'll do this. It's like, no, fuck that. You know what my dad told me when I used to get picked on? Just beat the shit out of him. It's like, I'm sorry. For me, I don't feel like, I feel terrible when those kids like commit suicide and stuff. Like, I do. I'm not a fucking heartless person. I think it's awful that they thought that was the only way out.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. With the people that, the ignorance, like I was talking about earlier, the ignorance in people actually drives them to misunderstand just how serious some people are really hurting. I mean, the attention whores that I was talking about, that's a completely different story entirely. It's just that when people see support for people that are bullied, they want to get that support for themselves, even if they don't need it, because they like the feeling of being supported. And it's fake, and it's not intentionally fake. It's not that they're lying, but more that they're lying to themselves. Their subconscious is lying to them, because that's just not who they are, and they don't need that kind of support like everybody else does. Now, you said that you think that we cater too much to the victims, but I would say that I don't think we cater enough to the victims, or at least we don't cater the proper kind of support. Because we might give them the cliche, it's gonna be okay, things will get better. Oh, you're such a great person. This is just gonna be over in a few years. Don't even worry about it. It's just right now. It's through school. It's in grade school. It's not gonna be here when you're in college. You're gonna be such a fine young man or young woman and
Right.
and all that kind of bullshit. It's just not gonna be that way, especially if you grow up being bullied. Now, I grew up being, I guess you could say, bullied by my parents and by people in general. I've always been a doormat, but the thing is, I've grown up learning to forgive and to love everybody, so it doesn't really bother me, but I see in other people how much bullying affects them. And I mean, I can see who they would be without bullying and who they are because of it.
Well, the thing is, man, when I'm saying like it caters to the victim these days, like I fully understand where you're coming from. I understand that, but I'm saying it's like, think about it like on TV. There's a lot of bullying, like, you're like, oh, it's too boo-hoo. Like, I know on ESPN, I get this kid who got bullied, and this was, I saw the video. It was really fucked up. Like, these high school boys picking on this old, like, little kid. I think he was 8th grade or 9th grade. I don't know, but he was way younger from these guys. He got beat up, and then like this like famous football star Deshaun Jackson, gave him a jersey and stuff. I'm just saying, when I'm saying catering, like, I think we're giving the society, like, we're trying to teach these kids to like tell an adult, like make it someone else's problem. Like, for me, I personally, like, I've told you this, like, if you got something to say to me or you got something to do, like, I'll just fight you. I don't care. Like, I'm not really like gonna hide behind an adult, and I know that might not be the best ways to solve things, but for me, it kind of like, because if you can show you can fight back, like, like you're getting bullied and stuff, if it shows you fight back, they'll be less likely, won't pick on you, in my
Right.
mind. That because I'll be straight, like, I dealt with it in like middle school, and then I told one kid to meet me up and beat him. I like told him like, yo, you have a problem with me, just meet me up after school, because I was a quiet kid, never really said shit. I'm a very reserved person, and then I finally stood up to the kid, and he didn't show up, and the bullying kind of stopped because he was kind of getting intimidated by me, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it happened a little bit in high school, but then I was like, fuck this, and I just I started doing helmets and gloves in the hockey locker room. I started everyone got in my face. I just wouldn't be afraid to get confrontational, and it happened somewhat in Prout where people would talk shit about me, but for issues I don't feel like talking about. At first I couldn't do. At first I was just quiet. Oh yeah, I'll just let it go. And then after a while I just threatened a few kids. I just told them to fuck off. So because I've always been like a bigger dude, so you wouldn't really want to fuck with me personally. And I have a temper, as you know, Dylan. So, but no, it's just like, to me, it's like, don't teach these kids to walk.
Your mic just cut out.
Did it cut out?
There you go.
Alright, yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why my fucking headset does that sometimes. But, don't tell these kids to go to a different outlet. I would just say, kind of try to, take care of it yourself and confront it. I'm not saying not to support them, but just to, keep giving them, oh, it's okay, it will get better. I just don't see that, giving them gifts as well. I don't see that as, benefiting them when they get older. Because they'll be like, oh, what's this? I can just cry and bitch, and I'll get free handouts.
Right. See, it's a mentality thing. A lot of people focus on what they understand. They want people that are being bullied to witness not being bullied. It's not that they want to build them up in a very scientific manner, you could say, but that they just want people to see things a different way. But the thing is, ever since the dawn of mankind, we've had to learn the hard way, because it's not really us and our consciousness that learns things as much as it is our subconscious and our spirit. We have to learn a certain way, by a certain method, certain teachings and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, even with the Bible, people have to learn by trial and error, mostly. There's direct stuff in the Bible, but there's a lot of other stuff that is sort of cryptic. Sort of like we have to find out on our own just what the Bible means, and that includes faith. We have to be able to feel it on our own. It's not a textbook example. It's just, do what you feel, not just what you read. And with bullying, it's like people want them to be fixed with text, almost. It's like you tell these people these cliche things to try to get them to feel better, and you explain to them how it's gonna get better and all this kind of crap, and there's really no personal help. There's nobody sitting there telling you, hey, this is what I like about you as a person uniquely. This is what I think you can be. Nobody sits down and tells anybody that, and if they do, applause for you, because hardly anybody is willing to do that. Most people just want to put it out of their mind because nobody wants to be around such a depressing topic, But for those that are bullied, of course, they need to be able to learn, not the hard way, but just not so obviously. They need to be able to do things for themselves. And for those people that are in a situation where they cannot do things for themselves, where they're just tore down to the point where they're just, weak and they need help, truly, then, it's not a bad thing to give them an obvious way out. But still, if somebody's going to give them an obvious way out, they can't quit there. They have to keep going, because for somebody that does get an obvious way out, that means that they're at such a low point that they need to be brought up much more intensely than other people, because they're in a worse position to begin with.
Right. Well, I can understand what you're saying, where you're there's some people, there's different levels of being bullied. You know what I'm saying? Different mentalities. Because they're the people that for example, that do commit suicide. They're at such a low point in their life that, they give them a way out, an obvious way out, go to an adult. But I think they need more than that. And I'm not trying to contradict myself, but I'm just saying, don't be afraid to, go look for help, because you should never be ashamed. I talked to my father, my mother. I'll personally tell you right now, I think school guidance counselors are fucking useless. And, the high school level and anything below that are fucking useless. Like, my college guidance counselor, I'll say different because I think he was actually, like, I don't know, he actually had a degree to do it. Where, you know, high school, they don't necessarily, I don't believe, they don't quote me on that, but, like, the one I had in high school was, like, a useless bitch. But anyways, it's just, like, I don't feel as if we do enough for the kids sometimes. And, like, I'm repeating myself, but it seems like in today's society, TV in general, we're, like, we kind of how would I say this? Kind of like influence it a bit. We're like, it's always the poor me syndrome. Like, to me, we should be trying to teach our kids, like, as parents, like, listen, you know, violence is not always the answer, but do not be afraid to step up, like, you know, step up for yourself. Don't be afraid, oh, like, you know, I don't want to get in trouble. It's like, listen, you know, it's either you or me. Like, that's the mentality we should have. And the problem, I think, with our society is we're making our children too meek. Like, I don't know if you agree with that, but like, we have a lot of spoiled kids these days that, you know, are given everything and they don't understand the work ethic or like what they have to do to obtain it on their own.
That I do agree with. I agree that our generation is becoming so lazy. I mean, for the children of, you know, the 1% or whatever you want to call them, the more well-off, the more wealthy, the more privileged kids do not understand the value of work. They do not understand the value of a lot of different things. And I'm not talking about everybody. I'm just talking about the people that are raised to be gifted, you know, and I mean physically, like, you know, they receive things. They never work for them, they receive them. And for those parents that are wealthy and they do tell their kids to work for things from the get-go, not just when they get older, then, you know, those are the kind of parents that we need raising that generation, because for somebody to have all of this stuff and not understand the ethic that's put behind getting it, you know, the work ethic, the work drive, the willpower to receive or to obtain it, then they're not going to understand how to, you know, better live their life, and they're going to end up a little bit selfish. You know, that's just typical. That's that subconscious thing I was talking about. You know, if they're raised in such a way, then they will live in that way. But the thing is, back to the bullying part, kind of get off topic there. These kind of kids that are unable to stand up for themselves, you know, that get bullied, and I don't just mean bullied at school. I mean like criticized. I mean hated on and told that they're not up to the par or whatever.
Right.
The kids that deal with being told that they're unacceptable. The kids that, like, on the internet, most especially, I'm going to go ahead and just cut straight to this point, or this topic. Cyberbullying is probably the most prominent and most intense type of bullying in the world right now, because it's so open. It's a huge realm. You can say anything you want without any repercussions, and it just doesn't matter. Now, I have to say, for anybody reading or listening to this, if you have experienced this, and if you experience this on a regular basis, if you are cyberbullied, I can tell you one thing. For one, don't listen to it, don't read it, don't even consider it as real, because the thing is, and I have done my share of cyberbullying, believe it or not. I mean, being a gamer, of course, you know, it kind of comes naturally, but the thing is, whatever you say when you're cyberbullying somebody, it really doesn't even matter, and you tell yourself while you're saying it, you don't mean that. But you don't really listen to yourself, because it's the internet. You can type it, or it's the game. You can just talk into the mic, and it just doesn't matter. So you end up bullying people without even realizing the effects it's going to have on them, and you don't even feel that way. You don't even truly believe what you're saying about those people. And I mean, I've gone as far to insult people for personal reasons on a video game, and
like my small penis.
Not like that.
Sorry, I had to make it a little funny.
But yeah, I've insulted people on video games.